Okay, so here's the Mandelbrot fractal, and certain things have like a very particular end. For example, the tip of the Mandelbrot fractal. Although it is infinitely sharp, it ends at a very particular coordinate. I believe 2x is equal to -2. And no matter how far you go, it will just keep getting infinitely sharper and sharper. But if you were to zoom in away from the end, you would start to see some details. Unfortunately, the program that I'm using, which shows real-time rendering, has limitations. But okay, but if you were to zoom in really far, there'd be an infinite number of little miniature Mandelbrots at the end, each one getting smaller and smaller as you went towards the infinitely sharp end. But the question is okay, so if that's the event horizon and everything is on the right of x equals -2, then what's happening past that? And of course, there's nothing. On the other hand, inside of the Mandelbrot fractal, there's an infinite number of miniature Mandelbrots. Like here's a miniature Mandelbrot right here. And what's interesting is that there is kind of like the same exact ending, which is an infinitely sharp point right there. But if I were to zoom in on that, it turns out that, well, there's stuff past the end. And that stuff that's past the end is whatever was around the Mandelbrot that I'm looking at. Now, looking at this one here, it's just more of the line of more of these Mandelbrots that look like this one. But you see, this thing here is a sort of echo, a reverberation of what happens as you get close to the end. All right, so with that in mind, I can go look for another miniature Mandelbrot somewhere else in the set that isn't as deep as this one. I mean, this one's pretty deep. Let's zoom out. Okay, so all I want to do is find another miniature Mandelbrot that isn't quite as, let's say, deep as that one. There's plenty. Actually, there's an infinite number of them. So here's one right here. All right, but now the iterations for this are pretty high. So let's see here. Okay, I'm at the maximum number of iterations for the software. So once again, we have that point. It's infinitely sharp, but this one, even though it's infinitely sharp, it has stuff after it. And what's interesting about the stuff that's after it, that's to the left of this infinitely sharp point, I could keep zooming forever and I'll never actually find the point itself. It's infinitely sharp. But there's all these Mandelbrots that are around the point that are sort of like echoes of what's after that event horizon. So, for example, look at this line. See, there's this line here, and in the middle of that line is a Mandelbrot somewhere. But like I said, the limitations of this program are making it so that I cannot actually look at that because it's just too high iteration. But maybe if I got a little further away from the edge and found one of the closer ones, I might be able to find something. Okay, so, you can start to see the echoes of that line in the vicinity of the line. So I'm in the vicinity of the line and I can sort of find echoes of it. So maybe I need to find one that's just a little bit bigger and further out because of my limitations. So I just go up the spiral here and I go down to a much bigger one. This one's so big that they've actually numbered it in the software. Okay, so there's the mini Mandelbrot, and the point, it's a little harder to find here because it's right on that spiral. Oh, I see, because that's not the mini Mandelbrot. That this is, though. Okay, so yeah, you can see where the end of the point is, sort of, and then in its vicinity is a slightly different version of almost the same thing that we saw before. Okay, but we've sort of reached the limits of this software, but you can see it's pretty different. It's pretty cool though. It's these echoes that look like these lines. So anyway, that was just something I was exploring the other day. I thought it was kind of cool. And there it is in all of its glory.